Okay, it's rare that we get to learn together Parshas Tzav, because normally if it's not a leap year, this is right before Pesach, and there's no yeshiva in session. So we get to learn a little bit together about the Parsha, and we're in Sefer Vayikra and Korbanos. It's a little bit difficult, whoever's learning Shnai Mikra. Sometimes this is the place where you get stuck in learning the Parsha of the week. So let's just talk a little bit general and then specify one of the Korbanos in this week's Parsha and the lessons that can be learned from it. Okay. A Korban Chatas that's brought for a sin offering. So the Kohen is the one who eats the Korban, and you get it for one day. You get to eat for one day, and if you don't eat it by the end of the day, the next morning it's called nosar, it's leftovers, it's prohibited to eat. You're not allowed to eat the Korban anymore. A Korban shlamim, literally a peace offering, is eaten by Yisrael. A regular guy like Rasman is allowed to eat the Korban shlamim, and you get 2 days to eat it. Get an extended period. There's a Korban in this week's Parsha called the Korban Todah that's brought, the Thanksgiving offering. It's brought the halacha is for 4 different reasons that you would bring a Korban Todah. One is because you're chavush b'beit ha'asurim, and you came out, you were in jail, and you were released, so you bring a Korban Todah. Or you're, God forbid, sick, you have yisurim, you have pain, you have affliction, so you brought, and you're healed from that, so you'd also bring the Korban Todah. Or you passed over the yam, you went on a boat, nowadays maybe an airplane, but you passed through the sea, the dangerous sea, and you successfully made it through the yam, so you bring that for that as well. And the 4th is you passed through the midbar, the desert, the dangerous desert. Okay? The Tur in Simon Ratio Test 219, he says there's a remez to this, a hint. We say in davening, V'chol hachayim yoducha sela. All of the chayim give hodah. What's chayim? Ches represents chavush beis ha'asurim, that he's in jail. Yud represents Yisurim, that he was sick and he became healed. Yud represents the Yam, that he went through the sea. And Mem, the Midbar, the desert, the Chol HaChayim, all of these 4, the Chet, Yud, Mem, they're Yoducha, Sela, they're the ones that go ahead and bring the Korban Todah. But what's unique about the Korban Todah is, on one hand, the Yisrael, the regular Rasman guy, he's allowed to eat it. So you would think that it's like a shlamim, which Yisrael is allowed to eat. You don't have to be a Kohen. But on the other hand, you only get 1 day to eat it, which makes it a little bit like a chatas. So which one is it? So the halacha is that it's like a shlamim, it's the status of a shlamim. If that's the case, why do you only have 1 day to eat this Korban Todah? There's something else very unique about this Korban Todah, and that is that you don't just bring the animal. Together with the animal, you bring 40 loaves that you get to eat. So this is an enormous amount of food. You have an animal to eat and 40 loaves to eat. And you only have 1 day to eat it. Normally, for the regular Korban Shlamim, you get at least 2 days. Even that would be a lot. But to pack it all in 1 day, that's pretty intense. And the question is, why? Why, all of a sudden, by this Korban Shlamim, do you have a limited time to eat and even more food? One answer that's given, this is the popular answer that people like to say, this is what we call a pocket Dvar Torah, okay? You keep it in your pocket, and whenever someone calls on you at any simcha or any life event, you're going to use this Dvar Torah, okay? So we're going to say it over, even though I'm going to tell you a different one, different explanation. But keep this one in your pocket, okay? The Sfarno and the Netziv, they answer both of these questions with the same idea. One answer answers both. Why you only have 1 day to eat this Korban Shlamim, and why you have an exorbitant amount of extra food. Answers the Netziv and the Sfarno, because there's an idea that if you have a miracle that happens to you, again, these 4 people had a miracle that happened to them. They were healed, they went out of jail, they went through the sea, the desert. A miracle happened to them. When a miracle happens to you, you're obligated to do a pirsum hanes, to publicly let everyone know that I just experienced a miracle. Hashem helped me out. I experienced a nace. I have to go ahead and do Pirsumei Nisa. I have to go ahead and let everyone else know. Therefore, even though this is a Korban Shlamim, which normally should have given you 2 days, and normally it's just an animal, here the Torah says you're getting 1 day, and you're going to have 40 loaves to eat with that. What am I going to do with all this food? What am I going to do? I'm going to invite a lot of people over. I'm not going to eat it by myself. To eat the 40 loaves in this massive animal, I'm going to bring a lot of people. So all the people are going to come over for the free food, and they're going to say, hey, why do you have so much food? Oh, I got to tell you about this miracle that happened to me. Hashem saved me. And we'll do a Pirsum Hanes and let everyone know. So the same Yesod, the same idea answers both of those questions. Again, the question is, why the limited amount of time, and why the exorbitant amount of food? But I'd like to suggest another answer, an answer that I heard, I think 10 years ago, from Rav Chatzkel Weinfeld, which each part of the answer is very applicable to us in our daily lives. And let's take both those questions separately. So the first question is, why so many loaves? And the idea is to invite other people over to eat it. Obviously, you can't eat 40 loaves. You get a stomachache, right? You have to invite people over, okay. But the reason to invite the people over is not for a Pirsum Hanei, so that everyone can hear about the miracle that happened to me, but for a different reason. And that is, the pasuk says in Koheles, in Perek Zayin, pasuk Yedalid, Bayom Tova Haya B'Tov. In the day of good, it should be good, or you should be good. And the Targum over there explains that, what does that mean? It means that on a day that Hashem did good to you, you benefit from Hashem, you should also go ahead and do good for others. When we experience something good, Hashem gave us something, we have an obligation to go ahead and immediately perform good to others. Why is that? So perhaps the idea is that when we experience tangibly how Hashem is good to us, we always know Hashem is good, right? That's easy to say, Hashem is good, right? But when I feel it, I just was the beneficiary of the good of Hashem, so that should motivate us to be like Hashem. Wow, that was amazing. I experienced that good. Well, I want to do good also. So there's a mitzvah to go ahead and bring these 40 loaves so that I could start distributing, start giving out food. I could do good. I could act in a good way to other people, to be more like Hashem. And that's a very important lesson that we need in our lives, that the more that we have good, we all have good, all the time. Sometimes we have to have thank you lists and gratitude lists, as they say. Take a few minutes a day to just appreciate all the good that we have. People forget about it. But the more that we experience good, the more that we feel Hashem's bracha to us, you can't just say, No, you have to go ahead and do good to others. You have to try to be like Hashem. And just, you know how good that felt? You want other people to feel that as well. You want to emulate Hashem. That's our goal in life, to be like Hashem. So when we see that Hashem did good, we're obligated to go ahead and do good for others. Okay? But why the limited amount of time? Why do I only have 1 day? Why can't I have 2 days to do the good? The Sefer HaChinuch tells us in Mitzvah Kuf Mem Gimel, 143. He says, what's the reason for this Isser of Nosar, this prohibition that I can't leave my korban over to the next day? What's the big deal? The animal's huge. Okay, so I had this animal, I bought it as a korban, let's say a korban chatas, right? Why do I only have 1 day to eat it? Why couldn't the Kohen save a little bit? Right? Leftovers, put in the fridge, warm it up on Tuesday. People like leftovers, it's not so bad. So what did the Torah have against leftovers? So the Sefer Chinuch says as follows. He says, because a person should have bitachon. A person should realize that just like Hashem gave him the ability to have food right now, that same Hashem could give him the ability to have food tomorrow. When a person says, oh, I have an animal, I'm going to save it. I'm not going to eat it now. What do you say? For tomorrow. Well, tomorrow let's get another animal. Oh, but I'm nervous, I'm not going to have another animal. So I'm going to eat it, I'm going to save for tomorrow. Well, that means you have a lack of bitachon. Therefore, the Isser of Nosar is there to help instill within us the midah of bitachon. Just like Hashem gave to me today, Hashem can give this to me tomorrow as well. And in fact, there's a pasuk explicitly in Tehillim, in Parak Daled, pasuk Vav. The pasuk says, Zivchu zivchei tzedek. You go ahead and you bring a korban, ubitchu el Hashem. And that's going to cause you to have bitachon. It sounds like the whole point of karbanos is to allow a person to have more bitachon in Hashem. And one of those places that happens in is the fact that you have to eat it now. Don't save till tomorrow. Tomorrow you have to have bitachon. Hashem is going to give it to you as well. Normally, to plug this in now, normally, who brings the korban chatas? Who did I say gets to eat the food? The Kohen. The Kohen, he was living in the Beis HaMikdash, right? The Kohen was around miracles left and right. The Kohen was able to see Hashem on a much higher level, in a much more real way. So the Torah demands from the Kohen a stronger level of bitachon. And that's why when the Kohen brings the korban chatas, he gets 1 day and 1 day only. 1 day, don't save for tomorrow. The Kohen's going to say, oh, what if I can? Don't worry, you'll get another animal tomorrow that you can eat tomorrow. Kohen, you have that bitachon. You see Hashem all the time. You have to live with a higher level of bitachon. How about regular Asman? No. When regular Asman wants to bring the korban shlamim, and he's going to eat, but I don't live in the Beis HaMikdash, so therefore I am granted 2 days. You can leave it over for another day. That level of bitachon you don't want. A third day? People, there's some people makbid. Sunday night they can eat leftovers, Monday ready, that's too much. Okay, that's the korban shlamim. There's a source. If your wife ever says, how come you don't need leftovers on Monday? You say, what do you mean? I'm like a korban shlamim guy. Okay? 2 days? No. Only 1 day. That much of bitachon you have to have that you could realize that by the third day Hashem's going to give it to you. You get 1 day, a little lower level of bitachon because we're not living in the Beis HaMikdash. We're not expected to live with that heightened level of bitachon, of awareness, like the Kohen does by the korban chatas. However, comes the Korban Todah, and regular Rasman just experienced the nace. When you experience the nace, you're no longer regular. You're like a Kohen. You just experienced Hashem firsthand. And therefore, the expectation of your level of trust in Hashem, the bitachon that you have is like the Kohen, that heightened awareness, and you don't get your regular 2 days. And there's another example of this. Another thing that we don't get a chance to speak about normally in yeshiva, because it's Bein Hazmanim. There's another shlamim that has even less time than 1 day. I don't know what that is. In the regular shlamim, you get to eat for 2 days. The Korban Todah shlamim, only 1 day. And there's another shlamim that you get even less. And that is the Korban Pesach. The Korban Pesach is a shlamim, and according to Elazar ben Azariah, you get to eat it until midnight. And zel, you don't even get to the end of the night. Even less time. You bring it in the afternoon, by the middle of the night, it's over. You have this amount of time, very small amount of a window to go ahead and eat that korban shlamim. Why? Why is that even less? And the reason is, because as the Rashba writes in Maseches Brachos, in his Chidushei Agados and Daf Yud Beis, he says, the whole point of Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim, that every year we have a mitzvah to talk about what happened in Mitzrayim, is to enhance our level of bitachon in Hashem. The fact we have to relive the nace and we act it out, and we say Divrei Torah, and we sing the songs, and we tell the story, and we think about it, and we internalize it, is because it's supposed to bring us to a heightened awareness of Hashem. It's supposed to bring us to a super high level of bitachon. So comes the Torah and says, after experiencing a Seder night, after really feeling Hashem in such an intense way, you don't even have to wait till 12:01. You're going to have bitachon at 12:01. You're going to get another piece of meat. Your level of bitachon is super high, even more than usual, even more than the Kohen. And therefore, at midnight, that's it. It's over. You have to stop eating, and you have to have bitachon that no leftovers. You'll get it more if you need more for breakfast. Amazing thing. But what does this show us? Okay, so we have a good Dvar Torah now for every Simcha that we're ever at. We have to talk about Pirsum Nisa. We have a Dvar Torah for Parshas Tzav. We have a Dvar Torah for the Pesach Seder. Okay, we're good, yeah? Okay. But what do we learn from there? Tachlis. What do we get from here? So you see a very important thing. We all go through different experiences all the time. We're having brachas and nisim, all the al nisacha shebachol yom imanu. We're saying davening every single day, every moment. Erev, avoker, v'tzarayim. We just have it all the time. Nisim, nisim, nisim. How many times do we say those words? Do we really believe it? Do we really believe it that every single night, every single morning, every single afternoon, we're having a miracle happen to us? That's what it's at. That's what it's at. Miracles all the time. And therefore what? So we say it in Shemona Esrei. Good. But does that transform us? When we feel, Baruch Hashem, I'm healthy. Baruch Hashem, I'm able to learn. I'm able to be here. I'm able to think. I'm able to be at the kotel. I'm able to have relationships. I'm able to be successful. It's amazing what we have when we go ahead and we feel this bracha. And then what? And then what? We're supposed to elevate. We're supposed to elevate to higher levels of bitachon. And then you know what? If God forbid something is difficult, which I don't wish on anyone, but everyone in the world experiences something difficult. That's part of life. And we'll all have it at different stages, at different places, in different parts of our life with different people. It's going to come. So the person that elevated every single day, Erev, Avoker, V'tzarayim, he elevated higher and higher and higher. So when that little thing happens, he might think for a second, and then he's able to push through it. Because the amount of bracha that we have far supersedes those difficulties that we have. I once asked my grandmother, Alav Hashem, she survived Auschwitz, and she lived near me, so we were very, very, very close. And even after the war, so there were certain things in my family, relatives of mine, that had some difficulties. A cousin passed away, and a grandchild, and I asked her once, said, well, actually it wasn't me, it was my first cousin, who was a wife of the person who passed away, asked my grandmother, said, how do you continue moving forward? Her husband just passed away, so how do you keep it moving forward? You went through Auschwitz, how do you keep it forward? And my grandmother said, because the amount of bracha that I have in my life is so much more than the difficulties. And that's coming out of the Holocaust. And she was always there, she was always happy, she was always able to enjoy everything that she had. But she noticed every little thing, every little accomplishment we used to have. I remember I used to come home with a little bit of a nothing. Oh, you're so amazing. And she'd hug me and kiss me and buy me things. I didn't even realize what I did. Every little thing was tremendous. Every little accomplishment was tremendous. We kill ourselves because we don't pay attention to those things. We should celebrate. Every little thing that we do, every little accomplishment is a tremendous bracha from Hashem. It's huge. And if we could store that up all the time, Erev, Avoker, V'tzarayim, we could really come energized. That could push us for every day for the rest of our lives, if God forbid anything ever comes and bothers us or runs as a difficulty. But we have to elevate through those experiences. It's not just enough to write in a book, and when something bad comes out, I'll pull out my book. That's what people do in their journals, their gratitude journals. That's not enough. You can take a gratitude journal. But you have to elevate through that understanding and through that appreciation. Our bitachon has to go to a whole new level. And that will affect our decisions that we make in life, what to do, when to do it, how to do it, how much to save, how much this, how much that. Because we'll be always aware of Hashem in all of those decisions. And Be'ez Hashem, through that, through elevating all the time, we will hit the greatest heights of tremendous success, always be happy. No matter what, make the best decisions, and we'll be able to enjoy all that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has in store for us. Shavua Tov.